We've got a good one today. The art of manifestation, how to align with your highest timeline.
Oh, let's get together today on the Wandering But Not Lost podcast.
Welcome to Wandering But Not Lost, your online source for finding balance so that you can align, connect, and prosper. And now your hosts, Jen O'Brien and Matt Emerson.
Well, welcome everyone to the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where together we align, connect, and prosper. It is, episode 342, and you can find all those show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. Jen O'Brien, this is going to be a good conversation today.
Yes, it is. This manifestation is one of my favorite topics that I really embrace, and the art of manifesting. But we're going to integrate this idea of a timeline in this highest part of yourself, where you're living your best life, if you will. Because I think the key of all of this is when you're in alignment with what your purpose and what you're here to do, and you can block out all the external chaos and extract, and the things that are trying to distract you, and you can be really focused on, as I think I might have shared with you today, that I was in meditation this morning, and there was something that I had listened to that sparked an idea that I'm going to do a video on, which is just a cute way to say it. And I've been thinking, this is how I live my life. Live your life from the inside out. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Living inside out, which made me think of that Pixar movie.
Yep.
That's what popped in.
Okay. Hey, I didn't say that whenever we were talking about it, but it's exactly what was in my head. That's funny.
So more on that. We're going to touch on this today, but what if the version of you already living your dream life exists? Okay, that's where I want to start off today, because it is. And I'm hoping to show you, Matt and I are going to show you as we go through today, how that's true, and how if you can get into alignment of that version that your dream life is, it's always like, when this happens, I'll be able to be happy and free and all this. And no, it's there. This is all about aligning your energy and your vibration to meet that version of yourself that's just waiting for you to catch up in a way. It's waiting for you. It's coming on down, trying to get you there, but you've got to do some things. And it's all about focusing on inside, whatever is going on for your inside and what you're focusing and thinking about. This is what I'm going to talk about today with manifestation, is you're attracting it already. So right now, as Matt and I sit right here, we look around about individually what's happening in our lives. Okay. Mm-hmm. It is a result of everything we've been thinking about and focusing on, and we're responsible for that happening. Now, I can't speak for Matt, but I will personally tell you, since I've been doing so much of this work, I love this version of myself and the timeline I'm on, and I'm on my highest timeline. What would you say?
100% agree with that. It's almost crazy.
Right.
Sometimes, and you know what? We're going to talk about this actually in the podcast that's coming up. Sometimes I'm feeling so happy. My inner voice says, why are you feeling so happy? You can knock you down a little bit on that.
Get yourself back under control, buddy. We've been taking care of you. And that's that ego, controller that has been keeping you safe, right? So,
that's right.
So let's just dive into this, okay? So let's get clear about manifestation. Isn't just about vision boards and affirmations and wishful thinking. Okay, that's like what I didn't like about the Secret movie. That movie came out back in the 80s. Did it? Was it the 90s?
Yeah.
The Secret. Whenever it came out,
long time ago,
it made it sound like the genie in the bottle that was inside of this movie, and it was like all you had to do is, make the magic wish, and the genie would come out and give it to you. And it's not that. It's a lot more than just wishing. Okay, so that's what I want to do. I want to start with energy is everything. Everything is energy. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions are energy. So everybody's heard of the law of attraction. That's what I was just talking about. But underneath that is a deeper principle, and it's called the law of vibration. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So you don't attract what you want. And that's what that movie did. It was like, just make a wish. And it used the visual of the genie coming out of the Aladdin's lamp kind of thing, which I always thought was so phony.
Yeah,
it really was. But I'm going to say it one more time. You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are and what you're focusing on and what your energy is saying. And that is what's in your life right now. So as you're listening and we're talking about this, if you don't like something that's happening in your life, you have to, the chance is to not beat yourself up, is to stop and go, well, why did I attract that into my life? What am I wanting to learn? What am I focusing on? And this really, we're going to go a little deeper here today, because we're going to talk about how awareness is everything. Yeah. Just becoming aware of where you're putting all your energy and your thoughts is responsible for where you are right now. So your vibration is this energetic frequency you're holding. It's constantly creating for you. It's constantly manifesting. You're always manifesting something. What's so powerful when you really start to understand this is if you went back and looked at a day or a key day in your life, or even just yesterday, and all the little decisions that you make along the way are taking you down to a different road, which for the purposes of the way I like to look at it, I call it a timeline. So you know that you're faced with many decisions, big decisions every day, and however you decide to move forward and the thoughts that you're thinking and the action that you take are moving you down a specific timeline with a specific set of outcomes, okay? So that's the big thing. The moment you realize that energy is your currency, and if you can control that and work on that, then everything changes for you. It really helps. But what gets in the way, Matt? There's definitely blocks. There
are blocks to the whole thing. But here's the thing, really, if you're getting back to the secret, so what you need to understand is you're the genie, right?
Yeah, yes.
Right? Okay.
You're the genie.
Exactly. So you don't be waiting for the genie to come rescue you. Do the work. You're the genie. You're the one that's going to grant your own wishes. So anyway, that's interesting. So what does block manifestation? Because it doesn't always work, right? You have these ideas in your head, and it doesn't always come out the way you want it to. And why do you feel stuck even when you do the mindset work, right? Because you can work on it, and sometimes you're still like, not out of the zone yet, or you're not clear-headed about it. And that's because energy doesn't lie. You can't just work around that, right? You have to really get into it. If you're trying to manifest from fear or doubt or scarcity, you're not aligned with what you truly desire. So you have to get over all those roadblocks and identify those roadblocks and then work through them. You're just really projecting it from the place of lack if you're looking at it from that standpoint. And that's not where you want to be. Definitely not. And manifestation without your inner work is like planting seeds in toxic soil, or it's like planting seeds and never watering them.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to get you anywhere, right? It just means your frequency may be mismatched. You're not in alignment. And that sometimes is all the shit that you need. You need to be consciously, consistently, and with grace approaching these things in your life.
And let's go real world with it to drive home this point about the fact that you could read a book or get something or watch The Secret or something similar that just simply says, say these, do these affirmations, or basically just do this practice where you're saying the thing that it is that you want. And this is what we're trying to say. You could be saying it, you could be, putting it up here in your head, but if the rest of you is not on board with that, right. If you say it and then the little inner voice is going, yeah, you've never done that before. You probably can't do that. So all your limiting beliefs and all your things come up. So the power of starting to work on this is identifying what is getting in the way, and you need to work on that. And I have been doing a lot of that my whole life, and recently, last year, so I've done some other practices, some breath work, other things to help me identify what is holding me back, what gets in the way sometimes, why might I sabotage something that's going on, and why do I repeat patterns? And it's not as easy sometimes as just identifying and then, this is what I did, intellectualize. Oh, I'm aware of that issue. Yeah. Now I don't have it anymore. Well, what happens is if it's really deep inside your energy, and because it came up from your being a little kid and things that you heard and beliefs that you maybe need a little work to undo it. It can be a very simple shift if you let go of the belief. But the problem is we really hold on to these things that we believe about ourselves. And so that's what gets in the way of manifesting. So we're clear now. You've got to vibrate and match the alignment, if you will, of everything, not just saying I am successful, I earn this much money, or whatever your affirmations are. You've got to be it. You've got to be in that state to really have the alignment come into place. Otherwise, you're living a life of whatever is really coming through, right? So we're so excited. And that's good stuff. We're going to talk about it on another podcast about very specific things. So let me jump into what I mean by timelines, okay? you're never on just one path. You know, there's infinite versions of your life unfolding. Like, just think about all the little tiny micro decisions. Do you ever think about that, Matt? Like, gosh, if I had gone back, let me give you the perfect example of one that I thought about the other day. I tell this story sometimes about how I got into ROTC and ended up going into the Army. It's the craziest story. I was at University of Georgia. I was a freshman in my second semester. And I had just gone to the movies, and I saw the movie Private Benjamin by Goldie Hawn. I watch that movie all the time when it comes out.
That's awesome.
So I watched that movie. It's hilarious. I walk the same way I walk every day to go to my English class. But after seeing that movie, I noticed out of the corner of my eye, oh, there's the military ROTC building. Something, I'm telling you, when I look back on it now, how I understand how things work, something really compelled me to go in there and talk to them. Okay, after watching that movie. Now, that movie didn't really want to make me, but I don't know, it kind of did. I went in.
Well, it certainly got in your head.
Well, it was in my head. I'll never forget the guy I talked to. This really tall guy with a little thin mustache, Captain Walker. He convinced me to sign up for some classes because they would help with electives, and you need them anyway. Why don't you just come on in? And I took a first aid class, military 101. I didn't know anything about the military. Nobody in my family's military. I didn't know the difference between a general and a sergeant. Well, basically, it took me down a path that I got very involved in leadership. I got to fly helicopters, and it took me down a whole path. Now, if I had never gone to see that movie, I probably never would have walked into that, and my whole life would have been different, right? I mean, that's just one example, but we can talk about that right now. So the highest timeline, my definition of this is the one you're most aligned with for your soul's true purpose. Why are you here? What's really passionate in your heart? When you know that you're passionate, when you're in alignment, you light up. Many people just go do a job and it does not inspire them. And this is what Matt and I are all about. Living your highest timeline means living your best life, living your purpose, okay? It may not always be the flashiest, but it's going to be the one that feels the most real, the most peaceful, the most things that bring you joy, right? So I've been saying it, I'm going to say it one more time. The key to accessing your highest timeline is you must match the frequency on all levels of how you think, the actions you take, what you go about each day. It needs to match the version of what you really want to be living. Because if you're not doing it right now, you act as if, what would that version of Jan be that was living her best life and doing her passion? How would she feel? If you can embody that and really go about your day as if you already are doing those things, that's where the alignment starts to happen. And then synchronicities start to happen and things start to line up, right? So those are some of the questions. What does that version feel like to me? How do they carry themselves? What decisions do they make that I'm not making yet? It sounds kind of wild, but it's not. But when you get your thoughts, your habits, your emotions, your feelings in alignment with this future self because you're not happy with who you are right now, this is the way to get there. And remember, the universe doesn't respond to what you say you want. It mirrors who you are, period, end of story.
That's really powerful, and it is so true. It's funny. Okay, I love that Private Benjamin story. You have never told me that story before.
I thought I've told that story. That is my origin story.
Is an awesome story. It makes me smile. I think if I had to, I never really thought about first of all, these timeline stuff just reminds me of Loki. So there you are with that.
Okay, so honestly, if you want to get the whole thing, go watch what I'm talking about on a metaphysical level. Go watch that Loki series. You know why I love that series.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay.
There you go.
When I think about
universes.
Yeah, when I think about myself and what really gets me going and what makes me happy, and I can tell you that I always knew this, but this is locked in for me now. I like to make other people happy. I like to help other people grow. I really get fired up and excited when I'm just going to use the word serving. When I am in service, I feel the best.
Yes.
Always. And I always laugh at myself. I always think, like, when I'm watching one of those shows like Downton Abbey or, you know what was really interesting? If I had to go and live in that world, I think I'd live downstairs. I think downstairs is where I would be.
That
and
was
you know
the
what?
real
That's
living was
okay,
happening.
because that's what makes me happy. Isn't that weird?
No.
I mean, I don't think if you asked 100 people, probably 100 would say they want to be upstairs. I don't know if anyone else would say that. It's weird to think about that, but there.
Matt, you're dialing into something about what's happening, I feel like, in our time right now with this movement towards being of service to others, not service to self. And that's a differentiator between where there's a lot of disparity in our world with the haves and the have-nots, the people that are out for themselves no matter what, versus what I think is the majority of people who really want to get ahead, but I think the key piece of us is how are we of service, which is what we're talking about. You're of service when you're living your best timeline, you're living your passion, because ultimately whatever it is you do is providing some service or something of value to others around you, versus, and you know what I mean, when you work with somebody, you've been around somebody who all they care about is them. It's an energy field that you feel. So
it's because we posted a video a couple days ago on wandering and getting out in nature and how that is so great, how it makes you more clear and more aligned. And we got a comment back on that video saying that all of these videos are so inspirational. You're absolutely right. Wandering with intentions, but it just validated every single thing that we were trying to say in that podcast or that video. Was validated by that comment. And it just, first of all, it made me feel great and made me feel like, yes, that is what we wanted to do. We wanted to help that person, you know what I mean? Or validate that person's highest timeline or whatever. I don't know. It's all, Jen O'Brien, it's all the cylinders are firing. So
they are. So
let's talk about, the alignment and how you can actually break this down into some real tangible steps that you can actually start practicing today. And I actually recommend that you start practicing these today. These are some of the daily tools to help you shift from wishing into becoming. Mm-hmm. Got that, people? Mm-hmm. Not wishing, not rubbing the lamp. Be the lamp. You're going to become, right? Become the genie. Number one is clarity. So you need to get clear on your future self first, right? So here's some questions you can ask yourself. So who are you on your highest timeline? What does your ideal day feel like? That's a powerful one. Mm-hmm. What do you wake up excited to do? What values guide your decisions? That's really a good one. Mm-hmm. Without this clarity, you're just throwing darts in the dark. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to answer those questions and be confident with your responses to the questions you're asking yourself there. Because otherwise, you're just flailing, right? Your future self is already out there. It's your job to get to know it, to get to know that person, to get to know what that is all about. So that is. And
let me add one. You can do those little prompts and exercise. By the way, we definitely have a download for you today for free, which is a manifestation journal, alignment journal, which has a lot of these questions in here. I want to add something to this. In fact, I think I'm going to add this idea to it. And this is a shout out to this guy I follow on TikTok. I love him. His name's Jordan Crowder. Digi Jordan. The guy's really cool. He's the guy I always talk about who's walking around in Florida out in the forest. Sharing his wisdom. I love how he does his videos. Anyway, I got his manifestation class. It's really cool. And I went through it, but here's an exercise that's in alignment with what Matt just covered that is great. And we'll add this to it. And so it's a random Tuesday in the future of what your perfect dream life and self looks like. And answer these questions and just literally write down everything that you would do from the time you woke up to what. It's such a great exercise. Yeah. What would you be doing? And then it helps you as we're going into these next steps of how you can see. You're getting so clear. You got to go through all the senses. What do you see? What do you feel like? How is it? What are you hearing? Who's around you? Where are you? Is it different than where you are now? Allow your subconscious self to go put that on paper. And this becomes the step of getting clarity of who's the future self. And then it's all these other things will come into alignment because you're really literally starting to act like that. That's where the shift happens. So number one is clarity. Number two is embodiment. Begin to act, speak, and think from that future self now. That's what I was just saying. That exercise in number one and adding on this perfect day in the future is where you get in touch with those feelings, because you can't. I was always thinking about it or saying it, but not embodying it. Breathwork sessions I went through helped me with embodiment because I'm a Gemini and I'm a mental person up here going, let me just think about stuff and not feel stuff. The feeling is the key here, okay? Yeah. This is where the magic happens. It's not just visualizing your future. You have to start being it. You have to feel it, even in tiny, small ways. How would my highest self respond to this situation? That's a great thing. You run into a trigger or something that's happening and you'd be like, whoa, just catch yourself. How would my future self, my highest aligned self, deal with this situation? Because I will tell you, it's going to be different if you're not there yet. Yeah. And that's part of identifying where these triggers and these things happen that keep you into, a lack space. Okay. So don't, would they procrastinate? Would they doubt? Would they dim down or would they take action? Would they speak with confidence? Would they be aligned and take action? That's the difference. And when you start to recognize that I am standing in my power, I am aligned with this, then you're already there. You're there. All right. So that's number 2, embodiment.
Yeah, so we have clarity and we have embodiment. So now let's talk about number 3, which is the energy hygiene. This is really super important. You need to clear your field or clean your field. And this really might be the most overlooked step, actually. If you're still surrounded by people and habits or content that keep you in survival mode or in a scarcity mindset, your energy is being drained. It's being sucked out. And I bet you, without even actually saying any examples of that, y'all have a pretty good idea of what those things are and when you engage with them, what it does to your whole self and your whole energy and everything. So make it a habit to check in with your environment and your inner world, right? So get out of that space, get back into the space that you're able to grow in and really improve yourself. So what are you consuming? Who are you allowing into your space? That one is super powerful because, we talk about this all the time. It's not like you need to be Pollyanna and running around, picking, flowers and riding unicorns. I mean, that's not what it's all about, right? You don't have to be Pollyanna every single step of the day, but the more negativity that you have around you is just going to take you to a different place. So, and it just changes your whole mindset and the way you look at everything. So are you leaking energy through self-doubt or guilt, comparison or distraction? I mean, there's a lot of different ways these things can seep out, and it will seep out and in actually into the way you're feeling. So the whole idea here is just to kind of clean it up, right? Because your energy is sacred. If you're paying attention and you are truly mindful and in the moment and really practicing this, where all these forces are coming from and what you need to do to get them out of your way.
And if I can just share, we've done it before. Probably the biggest one for me was the consumption piece, which was physically not eating good food, drinking more water, how I started to feel a shift in my energy. But honestly, changing what I was consuming when it comes to media, TV, shows, music, becoming very aware of that. That was where the big shift happened to me. I don't know about you. Okay. So powerful stuff. So we have clarity, embodiment, energy hygiene along with your personal hygiene, right? Yeah. And number 4 is critical. This is the hardest one for most people. You have to trust and detach. So when you're really getting into the understanding and the art of manifestation, you get clear about who it is. Who is this future you? You start embodying who it is now. You clean up your field. You start becoming aware. Now, this is the hard part for all of us. You have got to let go of how it's going to happen. The thing you're manifesting, the future you, the dream house, the dream job, whatever it is you're manifesting, you cannot get in the way of how it's supposed to happen. You must trust and detach, continue to be in that state and allow the universe, the higher power, whatever your belief system is, will show you the way. Synchronicities will start happening to you. Different things will happen because you are being true to who you are. You're matching the alignment, okay? Mm-hmm. We get caught up about the timing. I want that to happen now. Now, here's the deal. When you start thinking, I want it, what the universe hears is you want a feeling of wanting. I know that might be hard to grasp. No. This is why I never say want or wish. It's I am, I do, I have. We obsess how it's supposed to happen. This is where you have to have trust. You have to trust the flow, trust the process, and be aware. Because what happens, just think about it. Everybody, think about times in your life. We're talking about waking up here and being aware. Mm-hmm. But even if you're not completely aware, I bet you can think of a time when you had a chance meeting, or you were really working on an issue or a problem or something, and a song came on the radio or a book came to your way. Has that ever happened to you? I've been in bookstores, one of my favorite things, and
Absolutely.
I'm drawn to a book. These are ways the universe conspires to get the right things in front of you. And here's the beautiful thing. We have a thing called free will. So I have a personal belief that sometimes we get all these opportunities throughout our life to say, we're going to show Jan another way that she can work on becoming this higher part of herself and learn the lesson. So let's bring this in front of her again. Oh, she doesn't want to go down that path, open that door. No worries. We're here for you when you're ready, Jan. We're going to give you another example, another situation, another relationship, so you can learn the thing that you said you wanted to come here to learn. This is how I see it, right? You handle the alignment, you handle the vessel, the body, the mind, the emotions, all the senses. Let the universe deliver the goods.
That's really good.
Right?
Yeah, so much. Oh my God. I actually love that. It's so awesome. So number 5 is inspired action. You have to align your to-do list with your soul's vision. So it's all, now we're getting into the alignment part, right? We just talked about the little, and now we're really getting into this here. So this is where the frequency meets the practical, right? Got it? What you're doing each day that moves you closer, or what are you doing every day that really moves you closer to your highest timeline? So, I mean, Jan, do you actually schedule it in? I mean, do you actually say, when you're putting together your plan for the day, I'm asking you, do you work on, I guess this is the question. Are you working on your higher timeline every day? Is that a part of your process?
It's my intention every day, and why it all starts to happen naturally is because of the shift story. The story I was going to share right here is, once I started to really get this, and I started to be intentional in everything we're doing with WBNL coaching, which Matt and I are having these massive things start to happen because we really are in alignment with our individual selves, but a higher part of ourselves, but also what's the mission of WBNL, Wandering But Not Lost, and WBNL coaching. And things are happening and things are lining up, and we're having all these great synchronicities. The same thing happened about a year or so ago, where I really focused on the real estate side, attracting the right people to come in into my world. Now, the point I'm making here is you're always attracting. So if you're a business owner and you do real estate, for example, and you're all chaotic and you're not clear about things, and you tend to bring in, just think about it, you bring people in who are a reflection of who you are. And if you're not liking it, then this is what we're talking about today. You become aware of it. You don't beat yourself up. You just start doing these steps. And to answer your question, because I start my day with a true daily routine, and I really do work on the meditation and the manifesting, one of the things I started doing is, what do I want to have happen in my day-to-day? Who do I want to meet in my day-to-day? This is all part of living that highest timeline. And I find that I have great interactions with people, and I will set the intention that the right person, when I mean the right, a person who's aligned with my frequency and the kind of person I want to work with, who's going to appreciate what I have to offer. So yes, to answer your question.
So let's back that up. So you need to ask yourself, what are you doing each day that moves you closer to your highest timeline? And you need to figure out what's just noise, what's just habit, or what's just obligation. So those are the things you need to be asking yourself. And then start auditing your calendar. If a task, person, or commitment's not supporting your expansion, it might be time just to let that go. Right? Because you know that's not going to get you where you want to go, and it's not going to help you in this journey towards your highest timeline. So you need to start getting rid of that junk, getting that out of your thing. So take one inspired step each day from your energy of your and put it towards the energy of your future self. Got it? So that's how you can actually make the timeline shift, is focusing. We always talk about start with the end in mind. This is like the ultimate start with the end. It is, right? Right? And
then be that person, even if you feel in your brain, your ego brain, is like you're not there yet. It doesn't matter. Everything starts to work. This is a trust thing. This really does work. But if you just start working on this, everyone, and get into this a little bit and trust the process, you're going to be amazed. And it doesn't take much to start recognizing how much negative stuff is around us all the time, and chaos. And is that where you want to spend your life? Right. Then make a decision that you don't. You made a great point about the calendar, and it starts to happen. It starts to happen that if there's people in your life that are not ready to kind of move along and be in the similar space you're in, that's okay. It's not judgment. they're just living their journey. But what will naturally start happening is you won't have that meeting with that person. You might not hang out with them anymore because you're noticing how big the frequency, the vibration is between you and that person. Do you want, and this is why when you get around people, how easy it is to get low again, low frequency, is if you're around people that are talking about everything is wrong and all these problems that are happening in my company, in my family, in the world, and so on, right? So you become so aware of it, you're like, that doesn't work for me anymore. And you'll end up finding new people to hang out with, to be quite honest, right?
And the thing that sometimes making those separations are difficult, but if once you make them, and you will feel it, you will feel different. You know what I mean? You'll be, oh my God, you might not even realize just how much it was negatively affecting you until after it's gone. Until
you do. And then you're like, wow, okay. It's easy to make some decisions. Okay. So Matt, let's wrap it up. Let's talk about maybe give them a challenge and how they can go get this done.
Yeah. You know what? Here's the deal. Your highest timeline already exists. It's already out there. The key here is becoming the version of you who actually lives there. Simple, no problem, right? So here's our challenge. Here's our challenge for you this week. Start acting from the frequency, it's a hard word for me, of your future self, right? So you're getting your vibrations going. You're getting it all pumping out there, but make sure you're doing it like you want to be doing it in the end game, right? Mm-hmm. We have a lot of Marvel references. Okay, so one decision, one habit, and just one moment at a time. That's all there is to it. So get out there and do that this week.
And if you need some help with knowing what's one movement or one habit, check out our social media, YouTube Shorts. We are on the TikTok. We are on the real estate. Instagram is WBNL Coaching, Wandering But Not Lost on the YouTube. And Matt has been putting some amazing short videos out that are simple micro habits and micro steps and movement. It doesn't have to be huge, guys. Start with little baby steps, right, Matt?
Yeah, that's really what it's all about.
All right, so we do have a little guide for you. It's called the Manifestation Alignment Journal. Just got a bunch of prompts and things we talked about today. The whole thing is you just have to start. Start with one thing. Get up in the morning, try that exercise, or try something else that's in this handout. Yep. Completely free. Just go to this is going to be on
Wandering But Not Lost.
And if you just go to Wandering But Not Lost, the downloads are on the front page, but there's even a download button. You will find it. There are a plethora of other opportunities and things over there, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else, Matt?
No, just if you want to get the show notes for this and also a link to that download as well as some other information, go over to WBNLpodcast.com. This is episode 342, and all that stuff's right over there for you.
And honestly, thanks for being with us. If you made it all the way to the end, this is the message I have for you. Your timeline is shifting as we speak to you right now. So believe it and go make it happen. One step at a time.